So what does it mean to have a sixth house Chiron? So traditionally, as much as Virgo is connected to Mercury as being Mercury being the ruler of Virgo, there's some astrologers, and I would include myself in this category, that believe that Chiron is a co-ruler, at least in some way connected to Virgo energy. And considering the sixth house has a relationship to that which Virgo energy relates to, so things to do with general routine and some daily structure and our health and all the things that keep things in order, basically. So the underlying healthy structure underneath things. And having Chiron here is interesting because quite often the native or the individual, you or who you know that has this, can sometimes have more of a Piscean quality in a way, regardless of any of the chart aspects, purely because there is a disconnect between feeling like one is capable of having some daily routine or feeling like there's any benefit with this. Also, if there's issues with health, and understanding that there might be that a natural, whether this is like an immune-based reaction to monitoring one's inner structure and keeping one healthy. This might be less about one's activities and more of like an inner process of looking after oneself and the body, looking after one's health. That isn't an unlikely manifestation. Either the mother figure or in childhood or as a family structure, there may have been too much emphasis on things being perfect or things being right. So perfectionism can be through the roof here, to the point where it's no longer functional. It becomes a bit dysfunctional. So whether all we want to seek is for some perfection with our health and purification with our health and our mind, and this hyper emphasis sometimes can fragment the part of the self that just, well, big part of the self that just wants to live and to be and to do. It's like a splinter goes there sometimes, and the repercussions is that emphasis on the cleanliness and the perfection and the order can manifest psychosomatically within the body. And what I mean by psychosomatically is the psychological wiring there can, if there's too much perfectionism, that's too much inflammation, too much expectation, the body can't function that way. The body needs some structure and needs to and does function optimally in a healthy state, but healthy doesn't mean perfect, and healthy doesn't mean that, you know, we can't be around certain toxins or certain allergens or any number of things where the body should be able to work in balance, that it can get rid of these things. So you can imagine both psychologically and physically, if we surround ourselves with things that give rise to frustration and anger and triggers in inflammation, so a reaction like an immune response. If this is happening physically, psychologically, emotionally, whatever the case, an external trigger, the body has a way of feeling threatened, and with this threat, the body can't function optimally and can't just relax with the everyday flow of things. So either there's a hyper focus on keeping things tidy and organized, or the body has a way of doing this instead, where it's trying so hard to get rid of all these and react to the environment, that there might be more allergies and chronic fatigue, and all these can be health outcomes if there's not an awareness to the importance of having a base structure without the perfection. And so this can be very much and largely is a conditioned behavior, and say if it's a family response that comes out of fear initially, but a fear wanting to keep things safe and secure and clean, and to understand that it actually can come from love most of the time. and it just, along the way, the fear gets the better of the unit, and the mind therefore starts to be fearful, and with the fear creates all these other problems. So if you choose to work on releasing perfectionism, releasing fears around having things tidy and clean and perfect, and instead working on boosting your immune, working on doing the things that are going to make you feel better and connected and tolerant and accepting. And with these mental psycho-emotional changes that happen over time, the body then can adapt better. So instead of trying to fix the body all the time, to having all these responses with medications, try and understand the psycho-emotional root of these things. And say if you've never had any allergies, or you've never had chronic fatigue or anything like this, that's fine. There could be the possibility that you might have a more resilient physical nature, but being aware how that can affect you psychically or mentally, psychologically, and that if there is that hyper, whether it's judgmentalness or need for perfection with what you do and what you strive for, that can either breed you not wanting to try at all, because there's no point. If I can't do it perfectly, I don't want to try. I can't meet the standards that I've seen before me. Or it can also be that no matter how much you try and how much you want to attain structure and order, that you become out of balance with nature and those around you, and that hyper-perfectionism or feeling never good enough can cause other issues. And just to be really mindful of this, and so doing things day by day that can take you out of that almost obsessive compulsive tendency is something I'd suggest. And the meditation and the breathing and doing things just for the sake of enjoying something, and not feeling like you're going to have some adverse effect just because you're enjoying yourself. So they're the key points. And like always, please send me a message or write below and tell me about your experiences, or if you need any, or you're after any suggestions of how to reduce this real strong need for things to be organized, or fearful of organization, wherever there's the issue, or even on a health level. If there's some nutritional tips I can give you, I would be most happy to do that. So let me know, and yeah, I hope this was helpful for you.